We're now going to move on in the webinar to have a look at the future. So as part of Fulfilling Lives Southeast sort of reflections on our achievements and learning, there have been things we haven't been able to achieve. One of the reasons why we wanted to share our learning is an acknowledgement that Fulfilling Lives Southeast has not been able to achieve whole-scale systems change completely at every level. There's still work to do. But what didn't we achieve, and why might that be? Nationally, across Fulfilling Lives programs and the Making Every Adult Matter coalition groups, many projects have reflected on their position within the system. Like Fulfilling Lives Southeast, many of the projects were based within the third sector and within third sector services. This has been beneficial on many levels. However, there's a growing consensus that this has been a restrictive factor in our influence and power to drive systems-wide changes, particularly in the statutory space. In these spaces, we have not held formal forms of power and have had to use all our tools to influence, relationship build and persuade instead. We have had positive experiences of this and often brokering change. However, that has not always been the case, and as such, influence at times has been limited. Our further reflection was around sort of the local statutory systems and how they have faced unprecedented changes in the last 3 years, including budgetary cuts, the pandemic, and multiple national directives instructing new policy changes. This has been challenging for those within the statutory system and for us in order to be able to navigate this. There have been opportunities, such as the new Domestic Abuse Act, receiving royal assent, and the opportunities this afforded us to collaborate across the system to guide future provision for women with multiple and complex needs who experience domestic abuse. On other occasions, such as the privatisation of the probation service and then the reintegration of this back into the public sector, situations like that have felt so pressurised and often at times working at full capacity and unable to explore wide-scale systemic change for people experiencing multiple and complex needs. A further local reflection we had was the natural sort of turnover of staff locally in leadership roles, and this has proved challenging for us. Many who supported the Fulfilling Lives bid back in 2013-14 have now moved on from their roles, and this has created risks of new recruits feeling disconnected to the Fulfilling Lives work and its purpose. As such, we invested more resource in building these partnerships and reflected heavily on the importance of building trust and spaces for collaboration. Internally, we've strived to work across 6 core themes, and perhaps this has been too many commitments to work towards and limited our abilities to give some of the systemic challenges the greater time and attention that they may need to change. The tide is also very strong, and changing is difficult, time intensive, and emotionally involved. We are under no illusion that systems change can be hard, and sometimes it doesn't always work out. However, there is hope, and we've reflected that there's hope rooted in the reality that we all make up the system. No matter what role you work in, what organisation or what level of traditional power you hold, systems are interconnected webs, and that means we all have an ability to influence the system we are part of.
So when writing these ripple effect reports, we began reflecting as a team on what it takes to be a systems changer. And we agreed that there are certain behaviours and practices of people and perhaps their mindsets that are key to instigating change. So whilst having the knowledge of the theory and the methods of system change is important, there are also key ingredients that we can look out for that can generate the momentum to make change possible. And for us, one of those key ingredients is the ability to take risks, because not knowing is inherent to systems change. There are no guarantees. So we need people who are comfortable sitting with those risks associated with change and are able to leave space for those variables associated with multiple disadvantage and systems change. And I think this also requires a sense of diplomacy and resilience, because system changers must be able to sit comfortably with having critical friends. And again, this comes back to building deep relationships that are built on trust and honesty. So we need people who can hold space for frank discussion and objective reflection of practice. And as we mentioned earlier, the value of systems change lies in the journey as well as the outcome. So being open to this concept leads to the types of relationships and workplace cultures that can encourage and motivate others to be involved. And lastly, as Rebecca said, we all have the ability to influence the system we are part of. So there's also a degree of self-reflection required to recognise our own power and influence, both the positive and the negative. So a systems changer needs to be able to see the bigger picture.
So you might be sitting there thinking, fulfilling lives, tell us, what one thing do I need to do? And I'm here to tell you there isn't one thing, sadly. The systems are complex and the work will be hard, but it's worth it. And there are people in Sussex who are supporting systems changes and keen to do more. There are people with lived experiences who are sharing their stories and views on how things can be better, use their knowledge and expertise to inform and drive change. We've shared with you today what we feel to be the foundations for driving change. And those are, what are those drivers? What are the things that are going to motivate you when things get tough? Know them and hold them close. What are your guiding principles? And what are those golden threads that bring you and the teams and people around you together? Make sure you know those and have those set out. Building trust. Don't lose hope. Build trust and hold on to it. We feel that these things then can help unlock nurturing change. It can help you reflect on your role in the system and make adaptations or amplify the power you have and the influence you have for change, and identify starting points and make a start. And we hope the methods and examples we've shared with you today will help give you some ideas for the future. We also just wanted to touch on why we work with multiple and complex needs, and a reminder that the phrase multiple and complex needs is regularly being referred to as multiple disadvantage. And it's being used more and more frequently to recognise the fact that systems have a causal relationship to the complex needs people face. They are a small cohort. So you might be thinking, why bother? Or you might be confronted with that in your work. Well, a system that serves this group well works better for all. Public services are there for all. And what's connected us all today and often motivates us to come into work every day is a sense of social justice. So we feel it's vitally important to have a focus on this particular group of people. Support systems ultimately have the ability to better serve this group or entrench their needs and disadvantages further. The only way to address this is through systems change. Otherwise, this would have been done at a smaller service level basis long ago. And the systems changes, they need to happen at all levels, and particularly at top level leadership spheres. That's where we feel the next phase of systems change will likely and hopefully play out. So next steps, we want our learning and our examples to be useful to you in the future. So use our learning. Our new systems change publications are set out across 2 companion reports. The first is Ripple Effect, Systems Change Principles and Methods of Fulfilling Lives Southeast project. And this report captures 8 years of our project learning, translating theory into practice, and offers guidance and support to readers looking to take forward future systems change across Sussex and beyond. The second report is Ripple Effect, System Change Impacts of Fulfilling Lives Southeast project. And this report summarises the impact of our thematic project work, as well as outlining what should happen next to improve local support systems for people experiencing multiple and complex needs. Over the past 8 years, we have also produced further resources on how to co-produce projects with people who have lived experiences of multiple and complex needs, developed a training video series to share what multiple and complex needs is, what trauma-informed practice is, and how client-facing workers can effectively navigate complex systems to support clients. Use our learning, and we hope that it helps you in your future work.
So I'm going to just talk a little bit about Changing Futures and how the learning from Fulfilling Lives has influenced and hopefully will continue to influence the work. So my name's Jo Rogers. For those of you that don't know me, I'm the programme lead for Changing Futures, and I've also been the project lead for Fulfilling Lives since it started in 2014. Changing Futures is a national government programme funded by DLUC, the Department of Levelling Up, until March 2024. The aim of the programme is to improve the way that local systems and services work for adults experiencing multiple disadvantage, and also to use the learning from this to influence future government programmes and policy. West Sussex County Council led on a bid in conjunction with East Sussex County Council and Brighton and Hove City Council And West Sussex County Council is the lead authority and holds the grant, but the programme is very much a partnership and it's a pan-Sussex approach. 15 grant awards were made across England last year, and in July 2021, Sussex was awarded £4.4 million over 3 years to deliver this programme. The programme aims to affect change at 3 different levels. Firstly, at an individual level, to work directly with individuals, and improve the life situation and life chances of people who face multiple disadvantage. Secondly, at a service level, to improve the quality of interventions delivered directly to individuals, but also improve the pathways between services and within organisations. And thirdly, at a system level, to test different approaches, be that to funding, to commissioning, to accountability, and to local governance and engagement between local commissioners, services, but also between central government and local areas. The National Fulfilling Lives programme has paved the way for this government-funded initiative, and arguably, Changing Futures simply wouldn't have happened had it not been for the work of Fulfilling Lives over the last 8 years. Hopefully you'll agree that Fulfilling Lives has helped to demystify system change and locate the purpose and outcomes of the work in the real experiences of people who are facing multiple disadvantage and struggling right now. It's also modelled positive behaviours such as being values-led, being inclusive, being person-centred, and also with that absolute commitment to co-production at its heart and understanding of applying trauma-informed principles to all areas of work. As colleagues mentioned earlier, the profile of individuals experiencing multiple disadvantage has been raised in recent years, with more references to multiple disadvantage in policy and strategy, both locally and nationally, and a greater awareness of the need for multi-agency approaches. As you can see on the slide, the brief, which is on the right, directly from the national government website, includes references to trauma-informed working and lived experience and co-production, which is really heartening considering this is coming from national government, that they've picked up on some of the key principles highlighted by Fulfilling Lives. But let's not be under any illusion that this means things are fixed. The system that we're all part of is still failing many individuals with multiple complex needs, and we know that the system change work must continue. Sussex Changing Futures presents us with a really good opportunity to firstly grow the network. So as Changing Futures is pan-Sussex, Fulfilling Lives had a smaller footprint area. It enables us to work in a larger footprint and also build on opportunities such as the integrated care system and such as other things that operate at that Sussex system-wide level. Secondly, it's about embedding the work within statutory services, in particular local authorities, in a way that Fulfilling Lives in some areas just simply wasn't able to because of its sphere of influence. And thirdly, affect tangible change at that system level, which will hopefully lead to changes being locked in for the future and improving the lives and life chances of individuals. So as mentioned before, the Changing Futures programme is funded until March 2024, which is not very long. So we're already thinking about sustainability. There are 6 work streams which make up the programme. I'll just say a little bit about the next steps for each. So firstly, governance. We're continuing to develop governance arrangements across the 3 upper tier local authorities, which is quite complex. It also comprises 12 districts and boroughs within East and West Sussex, so that change can be achieved. Any change that we achieve can be locked in post 2024. In terms of service delivery, we are due to be starting to work with clients, hopefully this quarter. Rather than commissioning new services, we're focusing on bolstering existing outreach provision and building on the good practice that's already there. And there's some really good multidisciplinary working right across East and West Sussex and Brighton and Hove. And we're currently in discussions with local teams about how we can add value to that. In terms of systems change, we'll be agreeing which system level priorities we'll be focusing on over the next 2 years, and we'll be co-producing project plans. In terms of learning and workforce development, we'll be building on the expertise already in the local system and create new mechanisms to share good practice, training, and knowledge and skills right across the region via our learning and workforce development working group. Lived experience, we've already got quite a large, also generating opportunities for people with lived experience to be involved to play a meaningful part at all levels. Via our data subgroup, we're going to be developing better ways of identifying those who are falling between the gaps, but also bring about improvements in the way information and data is shared between services and systems to reduce the need for duplication and repetition. Ultimately, we want to reach and engage all parts of the system in Sussex that impact on individuals with multiple disadvantage so that we can work together to bring about positive change. Thank you.